Good morning, class. Today our lesson is on 1.6 in your GoMath, and it is going to be about using the break apart strategy to add. Your essential question is, how can you use the break apart strategy to add three-digit numbers? Well, before we even address using the break apart strategy to add, I want to talk about expanded form. So I want you to go grab a whiteboard or a piece of paper and a writing utensil, pause the video, and come back. Okay, so now that you're back, let's talk about expanded form. When we're writing numbers in expanded form, we're taking a number and we are expanding it out by writing the value of each place value. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at my hundreds. So I have the number 4 in the hundreds place. So 4 hundreds, the value of 4 hundreds is 400. So the value of my hundreds place is 400. So that's my first number to write on expanded form. Then I go to the next, which is the tens place. There's a 6 in my tens place. So 6 tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 equals 60. So the value of this tens place is 60. Now I'm going to go to my ones. There is a 3 in the ones place. The value of 3 ones is 3. So 463 written in expanded form is 400 plus 60 plus 3. The values are equal. They equal the same amount altogether. But here we have expanded it out, expanded it. Think about how you're stretching out the number by writing it by the value of each place value. So I've got the value of my hundreds, the value of my tens, and the value of my ones. So I've expanded out my number. Okay, it still equals the same amount. All right, so erase. Let's try another expanded form. Let's start with the number 894. Okay, I want to take the number 894 and I'm going to write it in expanded form. Okay, so I need to go by each place value and find the value of each place value. So 8, if there are 8 hundreds, then the value of this place value is 800. Now I go to my tens. There are 9 tens. The value of 9 tens is 90. 4. 4 ones equals 4. So 894 written in expanded form is 800 plus 90 plus 4. So again, you're writing how much is the hundreds worth, how much is the tens column worth, how much is the ones worth. Okay, erase. I'm going to have you try one. So I'm going to write a number out. Let's start with an easy number. 56. All right, I want you to go ahead and write this number in expanded form. I want you to look at each place value and write the value. Go ahead. Okay, you should have looked at the tens place because that's the largest place value on this number. So we look at the tens place. There are 5 tens. So hopefully you wrote down that the value of the tens place in this number is 50. Then you should have went to the next place value, which is the ones. There are 6 ones, so the value is 6. So 56, written in expanded form, is 50 plus 6. Okay, go ahead and erase. Let's try another one. $127. I want you to start in the largest place value, all the way to the left, and write this number in expanded form. Go ahead. All right, you should have looked at your hundreds place and saw that there's 100, which is 100. You should have looked at your tens place and saw 2, and you know that 2 tens is 20. You should have looked at your ones place and saw 7, and you know that 7 ones equals 7. So 127, written in expanded form, is 100 plus 20 plus 7. All right, very good. Now, go ahead and pause the video and go tear out your 2 lesson pages for lesson 1.6 from your math book. You will just need a pencil for this part of the activity. All right, so we are going to use the break apart strategy. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. The break apart strategy is using expanded form and then adding the numbers from using the expanded form. So if you know how to use expanded form, you know how to use the break apart strategy. All right, so let's read our problem first. There are more zoos in Germany than in any other country. At one time, there were 355 zoos in the United States, and I'm going to put a box around "and" because that's a clue word to add. 414 zoos in Germany. I hope you're making the same marks on your paper that I am. I'm going to underline my question. How many zoos were there in the United States and Germany all together? I'm also going to put a box around all together because that's a clue word reminding me to add, because I'm adding them all together. So it wants to know how many were there all together. So they want us to use the break apart strategy to find sums. All right. So here's your problem. We're adding 355 plus 414. So the first thing they want us to do is to come up with our estimate, which we have been doing in previous lessons. Now, they have already rounded this to this nearest 100 for you. So they have said 355 rounded to the nearest 100 is 400. They said that 414 rounded to the nearest 100 is 400. So we know that 400 plus 400 is 800. So that means our estimate is that our answer is going to be about 800. We always estimate first before we solve the problem for our real answer. Okay, step 2, break apart the add-ins. Okay, this is where we are going to use expanded form, what we just did on the whiteboard. Okay. Expanded. Forgot my ED in there. All right, so start with the hundreds, then add each place value. So 355, they've done some of this for you. We are going to break them apart over here. Break apart is just another word for expanded form. I kind of like it better, but they're both the same. So expanded forms means you're expanding the number out by place value. Break apart means you're breaking apart the number by place value. Same difference. So 355, the hundreds place, the value is 300. They've done that for you. Go to the next place value. There's 5 tens, so that means your tens place value is 50. So you need to write that in the tens spot. And then the ones place, you have a 5, so the value of the ones place is 5, and they've written that for you. So this first number has been broken apart. Let's look at the second number. 414. Your hundreds place is a 4, so 4 hundreds equals 400. Your tens place is a 1, 1 10 equals 10. Your ones place is a 4, 1 4 equals 4. So our numbers have both been broken apart and written out in expanded form. Now, they've already done the adding for you, but I want to show you what they did. So what they did is they started over here in the ones, just like you would in any addition problem. They added up all the ones, they added up all the tens, they added up all the hundreds. So let's check their work. 5 plus 4 is 9. 50 plus 10 is 60. 300 plus 400 is 700. Okay, looks good. But we still don't know the answer to this problem. We're not done yet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add the sums. So we're going to add the sums of each place value to find the answer, or the sum of this problem. So 700 plus 60 is going to be 760, right? 760 plus 9 would be 769. You can also look at this and write it in from going the reverse of expanded form. There are 7 hundreds, there are 6 tens, and there are 9 ones. So there were 769 zoos in the United States and Germany altogether. Let's check our answer by going back to our estimation. 769 rounded to the nearest hundred equals 800, which tells us from our estimation that our answer must be correct. All right, let's go to example 2. Add 467 plus 208. Estimate. Well, they rounded these again for you. Lucky ducks. Okay, so 461 rounded to the nearest hundred is 500. 208 rounded to the nearest hundred is 200. 500 plus 200 equals 700, which means our estimation is that our answer is going to be about 700. Next, we're going to break apart the add-ins. Start with the hundreds. Here we go. 467. There's a 4 in the hundreds place, so that value is 400. They've written it for you. Go to the tens. There's a 6 in the tens place. 6 tens equals 60. Okay. Then in the ones place, we have a 7. 7 ones equals 7. So for 467, you should have 400 plus 60 plus 7. 208. There's a 2 in the hundreds place, and 2 hundreds equals 200. There's a 0 in the tens place, which equals 0 tens, so the value is 0. There's an 8 in the ones place. 8 ones equals 8. Now we're going to add these up. We're going to start in our ones. 7 plus 8 is 15. 60 plus 0 is 6. 400 plus 200 is 600. Now we're going to add these up across. They're doing it right here for you. 600 plus 60 plus 15. So let's go ahead and add 660. So 600 plus 60 is 660. But I want to add 15 onto that. So let's do it with a 10 first. 660, show you what I'm thinking in my head, plus 10 is 670. But we need to add 15. So let's add 5 more on. We have 675. So that tells me that 660 plus 15 is 675. So 467 plus 208 equals 675. Let's check our work with our estimation. We estimated that the answer would be about 700. Our answer, rounded to the nearest hundred, is 700. So according to our estimation, our answer should be correct. Okay, good. Now I want you to go to page 37. Find page 37. It should be your second page. All right. Now we are going to do all of those steps, but in a smaller area, and we're going to do them all by ourselves. So I want you to always pay attention to your directions. The first thing you're going to do is estimate. Then you're going to use the break apart strategy to find the sum. So we're going to estimate, we're going to break apart, and then we're going to add it up to find the answer, or the sum. So first, let's estimate. Now, I'm a good mathematician, so I'm going to show my work. We can go ahead and round to the nearest hundred, since that's what they've been doing. 142 rounded to the nearest hundred, so I look at the hundreds place. Look at its neighbor to the right, 4. Since the number is not 5 or more, I know my 1's going to stay the same. So when I round this, I get 100. 436, rounded to the nearest hundred. I look at my hundreds place. Look to my neighbor to the right, 3. 3 is less than 5, so my 4 is going to stay the same. 100 plus 400 is 500, so that means my estimation is that my answer is going to be about 500. All right, let's do our break apart strategy to add. Now, here's where it's going to get tricky, because if you're writing really sloppy or too big, you could make some simple mistakes or lose track of where you are. So you want to make sure you're writing neatly and at the appropriate size, not larger than their numbers. So straight across, let's break apart 142. So look at the hundreds place. 100 equals 100. Then write your plus sign. Look at your tens place. 4 tens equals 40. 2 ones equals 2. Just like that, it's done. Easy peasy. Let's do the next number. 4 hundreds equals 400. Now notice I'm making sure I write my place values under the same place value in the other number. They need to line up. In the tens place, I have 3 tens, which equals 30. And in the ones place, I have 6 ones, which equals 6. Draw my line. Now I'm going to start in the ones place and add these up. 2 plus 6 is 8. Bring down your addition sign. 40 plus 30, well, 4 plus 3 is 7, so 40 plus 30 is 70. Bring your addition sign down. 100 plus 400 is 500. Now, let's add these up. 500 plus 70 equals 570. And then 570 plus 8 is 578. Now, this rounded to the nearest hundred is 600, and my estimation was 500. So I'm going to check my work. 2 plus 6 is 8. 4 plus 3 is 7. 1 plus 4 is 5. So it is correct. I have a feeling that if I would have rounded these to the nearest 10 to find my estimation, then it would be closer to my actual answer. Because remember, we learned the other day how with rounding, if you round to the nearest 10, your estimation is going to be more accurate or closer to the actual answer than if you rounded to the nearest 100. Okay, let's look at number 4. The first thing we're going to do is estimate. So because of what happened in this problem, let's go ahead and estimate and round to the nearest 10. So 459 rounded to the nearest 10. I'm going to look at my tens place, which is 5. Then I'm going to look at the number to the right, which is 9. 9 is more than 5. So 5 or more, you raise the score. So I know my 5 is going to go up to 6. So this is rounding up to 460. Okay. 213 rounded to the nearest 10. I find my tens place. There it is. Look to my neighbor to the right. 3. 3 is less than 5. So my 1 stays the same. So 213 rounded to the nearest 10 is 210. Now I'm going to add these up to come up with my estimation. 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 1 is 7. And 4 plus 2 is 6. So I'm estimating that my answer is going to be about 670. Okay, now let's use the break apart strategy and then add to find our sum. 459. So there's a 4 in the hundreds place. 4 hundreds equals 400. Go to the tens place. There's a 5 in the tens place. 5 tens equals 50. Go to the ones place. There's a 9 in the ones place. 9 ones equals 9. Let's do our next number, our 213. Go to the hundreds place. We have a 2 in the hundreds place. 2 hundreds equals 200. We have a 1 in the tens place. 110 equals 10. And you have a 3 in the ones place. 3 ones equals 3. Now I'm going to draw my line to add them up. Let's start in the ones place. 9 plus 3 is 12. Now normally we would carry our 1 up here, right? Not when we're using the break apart strategy. So resist that urge to carry your 1. 50 plus 10 is 60. 400 plus 200 is 600. So let's add them up. 600 plus 60 is 660. Now I need to add 12. Now I'm going to come over to the side and show you my work that I'm doing in my head. So I have 660 and I need to add 12. You could add 10 and then add 2 more. And for me, that would be 670 and then 2 more, which would be 672. So my answer is 672. Round that to the nearest 10, and you get 670, which says that our estimation says that our answer should be correct. Alrighty. Number 5 and number 6. I want you to pause the video, and I want you to do your estimation, your break apart, and your adding for number 5 and number 6. And then when you have 5 and 6 done, press play again, and I'm going to solve them, and you check your work while I solve them. Go ahead and press pause now. Okay, so if you're back, that means you have finished question 5 and question 6. So now I'm going to solve these, and I want you to check your work on your paper as I'm solving them. So let's find our estimation. I'm going to round to the nearest 10. 291, rounded to the nearest 10. I'm looking at the tens place. It's a 9. Look to my neighbor to the right. It's a 1. That means my 9 stays the same. So rounded to the nearest 10 is 290. 420, rounded to the nearest 10. It already is. That ends in a 0. Done. Now I'm going to add those up. 9 plus 2 is 11. Carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. So my estimation for number 5 is 710. If you rounded to the nearest 100, your estimation may be a little different. Okay, let's break apart. There's a 2 in my hundreds place, which means the value is 200. There's a 9 in my tens place, so 90. And a 1 in my ones place, and 1. Down here, there's a 4 in my hundreds place, so 400. 2 in my tens place, so 20. And nothing in my ones, so 0. Let's add them up. 1 plus 0 is 1. Bring down your plus sign. 90 plus 20 is 110 because 9 plus 2 is 11. Bring the 0 down. 200 plus 400 is 600. Okay. 600 plus 110. Well, what's 600 plus 100? Be 700. Plus the 10 would be 710 plus 1. So you should have got 711, which that is extremely close to my estimation. So I am thinking my answer is correct. Now come over to number 6. Let's do our estimation. I'm going to round to the nearest 10. 654 rounded to the nearest 10. I look at my tens place, 5. Look at its neighbor to the right, 4, which is less than 5. So my number doesn't change. So it's 650. 243 rounded to the nearest 10. There's my tens place. Look to my neighbor to the right, which is 3. That's less than 5. So my number does not change. So rounded to the nearest 10 is 240. Add those up. 5 plus 4 is 9. 6 plus 2 is 8. So my estimated answer is 890. Now let's do break apart. 654. There's a 6 in my hundreds place, so I know that value is 600. Plus, there's a 5 in my tens, which means it's valued at 50. A 4 in my ones, which equals 4. I have a 2 in my hundreds place, which is 200. Plus a 4 in my tens place, which is 40. Plus a 3 in my ones place, which is 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. 50 plus 40 is 90. 600 plus 200 is 800. My goodness, I keep saying the wrong numbers. 800 plus 90 plus 7. 800 plus 90 is 890. Plus 7 is 897. That is very, very, very close to my estimation. However, let's go ahead and double check. Since if I rounded 897 to the nearest 10, it would actually be 900. So 4 plus 3 is 7. 5 plus 4 is 9. 6 plus 2 is 8. My answer is correct. Perfect. All right, let's do a couple more problems, and then I'm going to send you on your way. Go ahead and complete number 7 and number 8. Make sure you estimate first, then break apart to add. Pause the video now and come back when you are finished. All right, if you're back, that means you finished number 7 and number 8. I hope you did it in the correct order. You did your estimation, your break apart, and then adding, and you didn't just jump to here and add. All right. 435. Let's round it to the nearest 100. Look at my hundreds place. Look at my neighbor to the right. 3 tells me it stays the same. 400. 312. Look at my hundreds place. Look at my neighbor to the right. It's a 1, which is less than 5, so it stays the same. 300. 400 plus 300 is 700. So my estimation is that my answer will be about 700. Let's break it apart. Start in your hundreds place. There are 4 hundreds, so that equals 400. There are 3 tens, 30, and 5 ones. Go to the next number. Go to the hundreds place. There are 3 hundreds, so that equals 300. 1 10 and 2 ones. Boom. Okay, 5 plus 2 is 7. Bring down your addition sign. 30 plus 10 is 40. Bring down your addition sign. And 400 plus 300 is 700. 700 plus 40 plus 7. 700 plus 40 is 740. Plus 7 is 747. If I rounded 747 to the nearest 100, it would equal 700. If you are not getting these problems correct, I want you to pause the video and go back and see what mistakes you made and try to fix them. Okay, number 8. Let's round these to the nearest 10. 163, look at your tens place. Look at the neighbor to the right. It's a 3. 3 is less than 5, so it stays the same. Rounded to the nearest 10 is 160. 205, look at your number in the tens place. Look at the neighbor to the right. It's 5. 5 or more, you raise the score. So my 0 is going to go up by 1, which means rounded to the nearest 10 is 210. 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 1, 7. 1 plus 2, 3. So my estimation is that the answer will be about 370. If you rounded to the nearest 100, your estimation is going to be a little different than mine. All right, let's break these apart and then add them up. 163. So there's a 1 in the hundreds place, so that equals 100. There is a 6 in the tens place, which equals 60. And there's a 3 in the ones place. Boom. 205. There's a 2 in the hundreds place. Well, I want to point something out to you. There's a 0 in the tens place. That doesn't mean skip this and just write the 5 here. Because this column right here, this is where your tens are going. If you wrote the 5 here, that would be like saying you have 5 tens. It's not going to add up correctly. You still have to write that the value of the tens place is 0. Okay, now you do the ones. 5 ones is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 60 plus 0 is 60. Remember to bring down those plus signs. 100 plus 200 is 300. Let's add them up. 300 plus 60 is 360. Plus 8 is 368. If I rounded 368 to the nearest 10, I would get my estimation of 370, so I am correct. Okay. If you want additional practice, you can write these problems down on a whiteboard or a piece of paper. You can do your estimation, break them apart, add them up for extra practice.